you can squat 500.
Hello and welcome to Better Body Movement. This class is designed to help you start feeling well.
I have less pain, literally eliminate that pain.
I just feel better.
I can tell that my posture is changing.
Bright light in the day when we've done our workouts online.
Makes me feel so good about myself.
Typically, runners who experience shin splints have overused the stabilizing muscles of the ankle as well as the dorsiflexion of the foot. The space between the tibia and the fibula has a sheath wrapped around it called the periosteum. This sheath oftentimes is rubbed raw, creating inflammation and tension on the shin bone. The muscles lining the anterior portion of the shin is the tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, and extensor hallucis longus. Sitting on a chair in a figure 4 position, locate the edge of the tibia near the thick muscle tissue. To find the tissue we're working on, push the fingers to the edge of the tibia and drop directly into the muscle tissue. Then squeeze into the bone. Move up and down the shin vigorously. After 30 to 40 seconds working in that position, we will work the opposite side of the tibia with the thumbs. Press the fingers into the soft tissue on the opposite side of the shin. Drag the thumbs up and down vigorously for 30 to 40 seconds. Ensure you work all the way from the top to the bottom of the shin. If your fingers have a hard time tolerating the pressure, you can utilize a lacrosse ball. Holding the lacrosse ball cupped in your hand, press into the muscle tissue directly beside the tibia, working your way all the way from the top of the tibia down towards the ankle. Remember to use strong pressure directly near the bone. Continue the same kind of work on the inside portion of the tibia. Here, you can use pressure from your palm pressing into the muscle tissue, while your other hand cups the ball, allowing you to create the up and down motion. Another way to work the anterior tibialis is by sitting sideways on a foam roller and leaning forward, putting pressure down into the foam roller. Obviously, this takes some balance and coordination in order to keep the pressure on the foam roller. In this position, flex the foot and relax, making sure you squeeze the anterior tibialis. Once complete with the foam roller, in the same position, utilize the lacrosse ball, creating a more pinpointed pressure on the muscle. Work your way up and down the muscle tissue right beside the shin.
Hello and welcome. I guess we are going to just hop right in. So let's go ahead and get started then. We'll get through our iDedicates and then our verse of the day. And maybe not. I think that maybe was yesterday's verse of the day. Above all, keep loving one another earnestly. Yeah, that was pretty sure. See, that's what happens when you get into a different spot. All right, so yes, that is what it was. So anyway, let's go ahead and get that changed up. Doesn't take very long, and it's something pretty simple that we can do. Hey, and it's one just like yesterday's. How about that? So praying for Lori's mom, Ethan, in his liver and bile duct cancer, my friend's wife diagnosed with breast cancer, Sky Toyne through her transplant, and also the bacterial infection, and then also continue to pray for Daryl with the loss of his brother, and then Cheney with his diabetes. Any update on either of those, Marcia? Okay, so we'll just keep praying for him.
Isn't that just crazy?
It is crazy. So remember, please like and comment. Let me know where you're joining us from. That would be absolutely awesome. If you have any questions during the duration of our workout, please ask. That's the whole point. So I will get back to you, whether it's live or afterwards. I will be here to help you with that, okay? Our verse of the day is out of Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Man, do I know that one. Yeah, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. So I get that one. Friends are easier to maintain the relationship with, even though brothers will always be there. It can be tough sometimes. So anyway, that is it for today. So remember, if you have not yet, please do subscribe to the video. That would be absolutely wonderful. It helps us continue to do this work for you. And then also, big important stuff is share, right? Share the video, share the information that this workout is happening, and we are here for others, okay? Let's go ahead and jump into our core day. Whoops. And I don't think any of this got changed. So hold on. We're not starting yet. Let me get my right video. There it is. All right, so go ahead and set up on the floor. Get set and ready to go. And remember, everything with our pelvic tilts
Pelvic tilt.
is core compression, right? So getting a little pelvic tilt out of it, pressing your low back onto the floor. Firm squeeze, and again, we're not lifting our shoulders to get there. Okay, we want those shoulders down and back. Good core compression, as tight as you possibly can. Squeeze firm.
Halfway.
Okay, and again, remember, round 1 is just all about connecting the brain to the muscle tissue, right? So we're trying to focus on how do we squeeze that core really, really tight, force that compression, and keep it there through the duration of the movement, okay? So use it right now. Use that brain, connect that tissue.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Tilt with knee fall out. So again, re-squeeze that core, compress,
3,
nice and tight.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Again, as your knee goes to the side, re-squeeze that core, plant that back down on the floor. Squeeze with all the compression that you possibly can. Okay? Firm. Good, Marcia. Again, don't let that pelvic bowl spill the water, right? Don't want the pelvis moving, just the hip joint.
That's halfway.
Again, your absolute best. Re-squeeze, re-compress. Tight, tight, tight. Doing your absolute best all the way through. Firm compression. Again, shoulder blades down, back, press tight, all the way
3,
through.
2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with adduction.
Hey, here we go. Good, tight core compression. Squeeze the knees together. Release the knees, then release the core.
1. Pelvic tilt with adduction.
Remember through this, it's all about how you compress the core, right? You need to compress and hold it tight all the way through. Okay? Do not let up on that. We want to firmly brace. Even when the knees release, you're still bracing, then release the core, right? So core tight, squeeze the knees, release the core. But each one very, very distinct. Nice and separate.
That's halfway.
Firm compression all the way through. Again, your best. your best. Good, Marsh. Okay, squeeze, tight, tight, tight. Core compress, knees tight, release the knees, release the core.
1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Good work.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee
Get
toward
set.
chest.
Core tight. Compress, so that means we kegel, so the pelvic floor stays tight even as the legs move. That's one of the hardest ones to keep. Compress the core, hold that kegel tight, set the foot down, and return. Good. Doing your best all the way through. Okay, very good.
That's halfway.
Well, my brother-in-law's Minnesota Wild did really well last night.
It did, huh?
Yeah. So it's 1-1. Series to 7. That was a really fun game to watch. It's funny, it's about the only sport I pay attention to is hockey. It's like so opposite from everybody else. They're all in baseball or basketball,
3,
especially right now.
2,
Oh my goodness, that's not me.
Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay, pelvic tilt and bridge. So it makes it tough because it's, hockey's the one thing I probably could talk about in sport.
3,
And then there's few people who
2,
actually watch hockey.
1. Pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay, here we go. Good, good, good. Core tight. As you return to the floor, you're watching your low back. That's what I want you to pay attention to. As you go back to the floor, your low back should not be arched up off the floor. You should still be in that same position you started in with the pelvic tilt, right? So don't lose that when you lift up, because that just means your spine's going through flexion as you go through the movement, okay?
That's
So
halfway.
don't let that happen. Core compress, tight, tight, tight. Again, do your best. Compress tight, compress tight. Firm squeeze. Again, doing your absolute best.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for shoulder drops.
Awesome. Okay, shoulder drops. So get those shoulders down and back as much as you possibly can. Compress that core. And keep the shoulders down. Okay?
2,
Do not let that go.
Shoulder drop.
Shoulders down, back, down, back, down, back.
Wow.
Squeeze tight, compress firm. Right? And always, always, we're still focused on that core getting tight. I don't want you to compensate and arch the back thinking you're getting more range of motion. Range of motion is out of the shoulders, not the spine. Okay, so compress and hold tight, then go to where it stops, and then pull the shoulder back down and back. Okay, over time, the more consistency you have training the core staying tight and relaxing the arm overhead, the more range of motion you will get that is pain-free. But we always have to still set and pull those shoulder blades down and back while we compress. Right, tight squeeze.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for dead bug.
Okay, get ready for the dead bug. So remember, core compress, shoulder blades down and back, just as tight as you possibly can. Squeeze
3,
firm.
2, 1. Dead bug.
And again, hold tight. So Kegel, core compression. Remember, it's like having a box between your hands and your knees. Right? You want nice 90-90 for that inside. Right? So if you look at my dead bug position, it's almost like you could just set a box right in between my arms and knees. We're trying to keep those straight up to the ceiling. Right? It's a
That's
lot of thought.
halfway.
Core compress, hold those shoulders. Shoulders down, back, pull hard. And again, do not overextend. If you overextend and your low back leaves the floor, that's too much. Go shorter. Shorten the range of motion in order to keep the core tight. It's always going to be about the core. Okay, very good. Again, your absolute best all the way through. Tight, tight, tight. Firm compression.
3, 2,
Very
1.
good.
Long rest.
Absolutely wonderful, ladies. So that's round one. For round two now, we want to make sure that we take and compress the core and pull just a little bit of pressure off our feet. So I'm going to call that feet up. They don't actually need to be up, but I do want you to be thinking that's the kind of pull that you're going to create. So core compress, Kegel, core compression, flatten that back on the floor, and then create a little bit of that feet up position, okay? Again, you're not leaving the floor this round. You're just creating the compression, okay? Here we go.
3, 2, 1.
And then Marcia does it in. Watch this! Okay, so go ahead and get set. Ready to go round two here. Again, 50% of the weight off your feet.
3,
Okay, so you're
2,
just slowly
1.
creating that flexion.
Pelvic tilt.
And out of habit, I might say hip flexion. Okay, it's the same thing. If you flex your hip, you're pulling your knees up, you're lifting your feet. Those are all kind of the same thing. Remember, if you pull on those knees and it pulls your low back off the ground, right? Stop your pull, reset the core, and then try again, okay? Try again. Right now, it doesn't matter if you can or can't do it. What matters most is that you continue to
That's
try
okay.
to force the brain to connect to that tissue, that when you create the hip flexion, it still is squeezing, right? So it doesn't matter, again, if it happens or not. What matters is if you're truly thinking about your core. So here I put on display, when I lift the knees and it pulls those hips up, that's a bad thing. You want the core tight, hold, brace, then create a tiny bit of flexion. Thinking feet up,
3,
50%.
1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Good. Okay, tilt with knee fall out. So same thing, core compress, pull the knees, knee out, back up, recompress the core, feet back up, and knee out,
3,
and squeeze up.
2,
Okay?
1. Pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Okay, very good. Tilt with knee fall out. So core compression, squeeze nice and tight. Knee out, then bring the knee back up. Firm compression, firm compression. All the way through, ladies, all the way through. Okay, doing your best to recompress. Firm, firm, firm.
That's halfway.
Again, focus on how that core compresses, right? Squeeze really, really tight. Firm, firm, firm. Do your absolute best all the way through. All the way through.
Three, 2,
Good.
prepare for pelvic tilt with adduction.
Squeeze through, right? Core compressed, knees tight, lift the feet, set the feet, release the knees, release the core.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with adduction.
And again, your lift of the feet is only 50% of the weight, right? It's not 50% of the distance, 50% of the weight. So your feet should not leave the floor. It's just create that compression as you pull those knees towards the chest, flex those hips. But as you do it, make sure the core stays tight. We're not loosening up and letting the back pull off the ground, right? Core compressed, firm, 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 all the way through.
That's halfway.
Tight squeeze, compress, compress, compress. Again, doing your absolute best. Very good work, ladies. I know you can do it. Working through, working through.
Three, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Okay, tilt with knee toward chest. Again, your opposite foot should still be light as you create the movement. Not looking for you to change or the hips, again, shifting on the ground like a Rubik's Cube. Core compressed, hold really, really firm all the way through. Miss Mary with her hair down.
Yes, I do.
We don't see that very often. Wait a second.
That's halfway.
Very good. Ladies, your absolute best. Your absolute best. Remember, core compressed really, really tight. And as your knee goes up and down, you're continuing to compress and move. Hold firm. Even that opposite foot is still lifting off the ground a little bit. Hold and compress. Hold and compress. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
YouTube Live.
Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
Well, you know, 10 years ago, you ask anybody in
3,
fitness world,
2,
technology is
1.
useless. You know,
Pelvic
best you
tilt
can do
with
is book
bridge.
appointments with it. Now, especially after COVID, gyms and trainers found out really quick. You can still connect with people via online. It's pretty cool. Good, good, good. Again, recompress that core. Hold really tight. As you lift off the floor, again, you're not arching your back to get there. Right? We're not thinking drive your hips through the ceiling. We're thinking get your butt cheeks tight, hold your
That's
core.
halfway.
Different type of movement when we do that. Different type of movement. That's okay, right? Just get all you can out of the movement. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Good. Again, do your best all the way through.
1. Prepare for shoulder drops.
Some. Okay, shoulder drops. Down back, core compressed. Squeeze
3,
nice and firm.
2, 1. Shoulder drop.
Very good. Core tight, core tight. Again, re-squeeze, compressing firm, holding as much compression as you can, even though you're focused on your shoulders. Right? But again, every time we return the arm, do not let your shoulders stay hiked to your
That's
ear.
halfway.
Pull it down and back as much as you can. Right? Because we're thinking that's what we're doing, is propping and pressing through this. So shoulders are in this press position. Okay, keep it up. All the way through. Okay, doing your absolute best. Firm, firm, firm. Good compression. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Again, re-squeeze the
3,
core. Tight, tight, tight.
2, 1. Prepare for dead bug.
Awesome. Okay, get ready for the dead bug. Again, shoulder blades down and back. Compress the core. Or you can do the bird dogs here. Remember, if you bird dog, do not cat or cow with your spine compressed. Hold it straight in neutral. Again, we're not going to sacrifice the form of your core, right, maintaining neutral, just to extend our arms and legs, okay? Because if we start flexing in our spine, that's going to create problems, right? So I want to maintain this more than I worry about how my extension goes. Okay, but again, maintain that tight brace, squeeze firm. Core should not loosen up at all.
That's halfway.
If anything, you should feel like you squeeze harder as the leg extends. Remember, if you need to take breaks, that's fine. Take breaks, because I want core compression, right? Whatever it takes to get the most core compression. Squeeze hard, hard, hard. Again, do your best all the way through, all the way through.
3, 2, 1. Long
Right.
rest.
All right, long rest. 2 rounds down. So for the third round, the goal, not that you have to, but the goal is to be able to maintain core compression and then hover your feet for 1 to 2 seconds, right? Make sure it's a legitimate pause, hold, and then set them down, okay? That's what we want to be working on. As tight of core compression as you possibly can get all the way through, okay? And doing your best.
Three, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt. Three, 2, 1.
And here we go.
Pelvic tilt.
Pelvic tilts. Compress and hold tight as firmly as you possibly can. And again, if something is foreign or vague to you and it doesn't make sense, please ask. That's the whole point of doing this. You have that opportunity. So use it. Use it. Core compressed, firm, 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 shoulder blades down back. Maintain that core compression as you lift the feet and set the feet down. Right? So even as they go down, don't let your spine go with it. Hold it firm all the way through. Doing very good work. Very good work. Awesome. Tight squeeze, firm compression. Hold, hold, hold.
1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Okay, tilt with knee fall out. So again, squeeze with everything that you've got. Hover the feet. And again, if you're hovering the feet and you go out to the
2,
side,
1. Pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
you might have to restrict how far the knee goes, because if your feet are hovering as that moves, right, it's going to want to pull you completely over. You don't have that third point of contact on the floor. So again, recompress, shoulders down and back, doing your absolute best, ladies. Okay, squeeze firm, firm, firm.
That's halfway.
Okay. Good, your best. Your best. Track, control, squeeze, firm, firm, firm. Your best. Compress, 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 shoulders down and back, down, back.
2, 1. Prepare for pelvic
Good.
tilt abduction.
Okay, tilt with adduction. Again, core compression, shoulders down and back, but core tight, knees tight, lift the feet, set the feet, release the knees, release the core. Should be a slow exercise.
Pelvic tilt with adduction.
Right, so we go together here. Core tight, squeeze your knees, lift your feet, set your feet, release your knees, release your core. Make sure those two especially are very, very distinct. Okay, again, keep going through it. And every time you go through the releases, right, set the feet down, release the knees, then the core. So when you release knees, think core, 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 core. Tight all the way through, ladies. I want you to keep going through it, even if you think it's hard. The only time we're not going to continue something is if it creates sharp, intense, acute pain. Okay? But otherwise, if it's dull and it's achy and the muscles are sore, good. Do it some more. Okay? This is where we get the challenge to actually create change. This final round. Tight, tight, tight. Really work it.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Good. Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Three,
So as you march,
1.
right?
Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
One at a time. So hover both feet. Lift one. Bring it back down to a hover. Other foot up. Back down to a hover. And then you can set them down. Re-squeeze the core. Hover the feet. One up. Back down to a hover. Other up. back down to a hover. Again, we do not want scissors kicks, okay? Because that's just a transition of where you end up putting spinal bracing. Is you put it where it shouldn't be.
That's halfway.
Okay, so we're not scissor kicking or bicycling. We want one individual up, back down to a hover, other one up, back down to a hover, then set them down. Okay, again, if you can't hover, that's fine, but you're going through that same thought process, bringing the knees towards the chest, connecting the brain to your core, tight, 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 all the way through. 10 seconds. Good core compression. Very, very good.
2, 1. Prepare
Awesome.
for pelvic tilt with bridge.
Good. Tilt and bridge. Remember, do not overextend. Do not want your back to arch as you come up. Okay? Core compressed, nice and firm, tight squeeze all the way through.
Pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay? I know you can do it. So get after it. Core tight, butt cheeks pinching the penny. And when you return, again, put all your focus into what your low back feels like when you touch the ground. Right? The ribs, the low back, the hips, do they all touch at the same time? Or are we kind of touching different things at different times? Because it should be a piece of steel. You lift it up, you set it down.
That's halfway.
Tight squeeze. Do your absolute best. Your absolute best. And your best. Squeeze tight, tight, tight. All the compression you can get out of it. All of it. Okay, maintain that spine. Maintain that spine.
1. Prepare for shoulder drops.
Good. Okay, into the shoulder drop. So again, reset the core, shoulder blades down and back. Firm compression, doing your absolute
3,
best.
2, 1. Shoulder drop.
Okay, here we go. Remember, good shoulder drops. Compress the core, shoulder blades down and back. You're pinching that bra strap as tight as you possibly can. Firm, firm, firm. And again, we're not compensating by arching the back or the spine, right? We want to hold that tight, compress the core, then go through your range of motion
That's
and
halfway.
pull back down into position. Okay, your absolute best all the way through. Okay, your absolute best all the way through. Press tight, tight, tight. Go back to the core, back to the core. Now go to the shoulders. Are they where they're supposed to be? Pulling down and back. Okay, then back to the core. Squeeze,
3,
pelvic tilt, hold
2,
firm.
1.
Awesome.
Prepare for dead bug.
Very good. Remember, dead bug or bird dog, either way, spine stays in neutral because your core is tight. Okay? It's not neutral just because your low back holds it
2,
there. It's
1.
tight because your core
Dead
is
bug.
there. Okay, good dead bug. Squeeze as hard as you possibly can through the extension. Do not compensate. As soon as that spine changes or feels like it wants to change, squeeze the core harder and return to your start position. Do your absolute best. Tight, tight, tight. Very good.
That's halfway.
Hey, almost done. So do your best. Finish nice and strong. If it's hard, awesome. Continue to make it hard. This should be a challenge. It should not be easy to finish these. Compress, compress. Hold those shoulders down and back. Squeeze that spine. Make sure that your core is compressed as hard as possible. 10 seconds, ladies. Finish. All the way through. Don't quit early.
3,
All the way.
2,
All the way.
1. Long rest.
Awesome. Fantastic work, ladies. Appreciate all the hard work getting in your workout. We absolutely love to see that. Make sure as you go through your day, look for those opportunities to use your core. Right? We want to make sure that we're taking what we learn here, all of the opportunities that we have throughout the day, and apply better body movement to your life. I am here to help you move well so you live well. Enjoy this SMR work, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Typically, runners who experience shin splints have overused the stabilizing muscles of the ankle as well as the dorsiflexion of the foot. The space between the tibia and the fibula has a sheath wrapped around it called the periosteum. This sheath oftentimes is rubbed raw, creating inflammation and tension on the shin bone. The muscles lining the anterior portion of the shin is the tibialis anterior, extensor digitorum longus, and extensor hallucis longus. Sitting on a chair in a figure 4 position, locate the edge of the tibia near the thick muscle tissue. To find the tissue we're working on, push the fingers to the edge of the tibia and drop directly into the muscle tissue. Then squeeze into the bone. Move up and down the shin vigorously. After 30 to 40 seconds working in that position, we will work the opposite side of the tibia with the thumbs. Press the fingers into the soft tissue on the opposite side of the shin. Drag the thumbs up and down vigorously for 30 to 40 seconds. Ensure you work all the way from the top to the bottom of the shin. If your fingers have a hard time tolerating the pressure, you can utilize a lacrosse ball. Holding the lacrosse ball cupped in your hand, press into the muscle tissue directly beside the tibia, working your way all the way from the top of the tibia down towards the ankle. Remember to use strong pressure directly near the bone. Continue the same kind of work on the inside portion of the tibia. Here, you can use pressure from your palm pressing into the muscle tissue, while your other hand cups the ball, allowing you to create the up and down motion. Another way to work the anterior tibialis is by sitting sideways on a foam roller and leaning forward, putting pressure down into the foam roller. Obviously, this takes some balance and coordination in order to keep the pressure on the foam roller. In this position, flex the foot and relax, making sure you squeeze the anterior tibialis. Once complete with the foam roller, in the same position, utilize the lacrosse ball, creating a more pinpointed pressure on the muscle. Work your way up and down the muscle tissue right beside the shin.